Lee is a Korean-American author of 5 novels, which are Native Speaker, A Gesture Life, A Love, The Surrender, and On Such a Full Sea. Most of his works are reflected from his own experience as a Korean American. Lee writes about problems related to the Asian American, including the past Asian heritage, the experience of assimilating new cultures, the issues of racism and discrimination, feeling isolated in a community, and dreams of being accepted. Lee explores what it means to lose and attain new identity, mostly of becoming and being American. However, Lee also writes about different types of feeling trapped, which are trapped by the environment and trapped by oneself. Lee has addressed a few issues in his works, including identity, separation and escape, assimilation and detachment. Portrayal of women in literature. Literature is the reflection of society and societal values. Generally, there are a few stereotypes images of women that are always portrayed in old literature, such as beautiful face, doing a lot of housework, and talk too much. Women have subordinate status to men in male-dominated society, and this caused the rise of feminist writers and works.
First off, we have two main characters in the story. There are Jerome Battle, the husband, and also Daisy, the wife of Jerome Battle, who is a Korean. Then we have the supporting characters such as Teresa Battle and Jack Battle, the children of Jerome Battle and Daisy. Then we have the mentions of Pop and Ma, who are the parents to Jerome Battle and the in-laws to Daisy. Then we also have David Battle, who is the brother to Jerome Battle and brother-in-law to Daisy. And finally, the story also mentioned Dr. Derrican, who is the doctor to the Battle's family. The short story Daisy was mainly about Daisy herself as a housewife to the Battle's household. This story is portrayed in the points of view of the husband Jerome Battle. The story also mainly consists of flashbacks, the memories of Jerome Battle that he have of his deceased wife Daisy. At the beginning of the story, Jerome Battle described Daisy as a perfect housewife as she always kept the house in check. However, after a while, Daisy's attitude started to change. She would ignore all of her house chores. Then, Daisy had her first meltdown during a neighbor's gathering at the Battle's household. Starting from there, Daisy's attitude started to get worse. At one point, she decided to buy a 7,000 US dollar couch, which causes Jerome to cut down her monthly allowance, only giving her the bare minimum. Jerome Battle then decided to limit his attention given to his wife too. He thought that these actions would cause Daisy to calm down a little bit. However, this only backfires when Daisy decided to stop talking to him, and the situation between them became ice cold. They were not talking to each other for a while, and Daisy even didn't go to bed with Jerome. That is, until one day where Daisy was brought home by the police naked only in her pair of cats. Jerome, who had enough of Daisy and seeing her in such a situation, demanded for Daisy to seek for medication advices from Dr. Derrican, the doctor of the Battle's family. Jerome thought that Daisy would go back to her normal self. However, in the early of August, Daisy was found dead in the pool of their backyard, naked just like the way she always preferred to.
So the story actually starts from the Korean immigrant family who is struggling to adapt to the new community. So they were actually an immigrant who recently moved to New Rochelle, New York. So actually the mother, she do not know how to cook American food, and she do not know how does it taste like. So she was a very important figure in the family because she always cooked for them. So you could call her as the heart of the family. She always cooked Korean food because this is their way of connecting to their Korean origin. So in the story, as the Thanksgiving roll around, she struggles to cook Thanksgiving meal, so she has to rely on Mrs. Churchill, their neighbor. She has a very beautiful handwriting, and she always guides the mother to cook the American food. So as the Thanksgiving rolled along, she finally successfully served the Americans food as American. And you could say that by the end of the story, the family actually were able to adapt to the new community. So that is a very simple summary of The Magical Dinner by Chang Rae Lee.
First and foremost, in the story Daisy, the author Chang Rae Lee focuses on family as the main theme. Daisy is actually a part of a novel called Aloft. In the story, Lee had shown the life of Jerry and Daisy's family. Daisy is a Korean American, but Lee didn't really portray much differences other than her accent and the way Daisy interacts with Jerry's family. Lee had shown how the family plays the role in determining one's life. Daisy loves her family, but the action from her husband, who blindly followed his father's advice, had caused her death. Jerry thought that everything that his father said was true and didn't give any support for Daisy to heal, but he tortured her feelings more instead. They didn't communicate well with each other and caused a lot of misunderstanding to happen. Jerry knew that Daisy is not mentally well, but he still chose to follow his father's advice and make things worse. In this story, Lee had made it clear that family support and communication is a crucial element in building a happy family. The husband also should have realized his responsibility for his family. Financial support is not the only thing that he had to prepare, but it is also his responsibility in providing love and emotional care towards his family. Next, in Magical Dinners, Lee focuses on the cultural theme in this writing. Here, we can see how young immigrant had his food experience in America. The story focuses on how food connects deeply with the cultures. His mom always cooked Korean dishes, and to think that they can have turkey for Thanksgiving dinner is a whole new experience for a Korean American boy. Besides, he seems to prefer American food rather than Korean dishes that was prepared by his mother. The mother tried her very best in learning to cook food from different cultures, despite her preferring the food that comes from their own hometown instead. The mother learned to cook the turkey for their Thanksgiving by following the guide that had been prepared by Mrs. Churchill. Lee had shown and described his first experience in Thanksgiving dinner. As an immigrant with a whole different culture, he successfully showed how he and his family are able to accept certain other culture, such as Thanksgiving, and are able to enjoy themselves with the food as well.
In both of these short story, Daisy and Magical Dinners, the main characters are mother, Daisy and the writer's mother. The second similarities that we can observe is woman as a homemakers. Homemakers is a person who manages the household of his or her own family, especially as a principal occupation. In both stories, women are shown as the homemakers of the family. Daisy was illustrated like a lot of young mothers in the neighborhood who take care of the house and kids, cooking, bills, and matters that the husband couldn't deal with. While in Magical Dinners, the writer's aunt is helping his mother in the kitchen preparing the turkey for Thanksgiving. The second similarities that we can observe is woman as feminine human being. The behavior of feminine such as expressive and caring. As for expressive, in the short story Daisy, Daisy shouts at his husband in the kitchen at 3 a.m. in the morning. While in Magical Dinners, the writer's mother complains a lot to her husband of the conditions of their house. As for caring, in short story Daisy, Daisy makes sure to prepare breakfast for her husband and children despite having mental illnesses. Whereas in Magical Dinners, the mother loves to prepare meal for the son, which shows that the mother cares for his son. The other similarities that we found is the struggles of homemakers. In preparing meal for the family, in short story Daisy, Daisy has burned the kitchen and her husband urged her to take responsibility making proper meal for the kids. Other than that, in Magical Dinners, the mother frustrates over kids' food demands, where the writer complains the taste of food made by his mother. And finally, we can see the similarities of woman as heavy shopper. Daisy buy dress from Macy, and the husband and the writer's mother was revealed 2 times shopping for ingredients at A&P.
The Daisy was actually told by the limited perspective of the husband of the Daisy. His name is Jerome or Jerry. He is actually the husband to Daisy, and in the story, in the excerpt, he explained that he had trouble understanding the mind of his wife, Daisy. And because of this communication issue, Daisy finally spiraled down to a mania. She was depressed and finally she drowned herself in a pool. And this is actually the difference between the Daisy and also Magical Dinner, because Magical Dinner is actually they were told from this perspective of the boy that was reminiscing about his mother, who were very beautiful and she was always cooking for the family. She always cooked Korean food, and even though she was sick of it, she doesn't want to cook anymore. She had to, because the family needs to save the money. They were struggling and they could only dine out 3 days a year. And actually the story was told by the boy's perspective of how the family struggles to adapt to the new community. So these are actually different, because Daisy was actually told from the husband perspective of the wife that was going crazy or that was having a depression. Meanwhile, Magical Dinner was told from the boy's perspective about how the mother how the family generally trying to adapt to the new community in America.
In conclusion, Lee writes mostly about family-centered story with the female character as the focus point, and it is good to analyze the portrayal of women in literature to observe the evolution of the society.